All right, good evening. It looks like we're going to roll right into our 6:30 presentation. We had a 6 o'clock presentation, so we're going to kick us off here. Thank you for being here tonight. Welcome to the middle school, or back to the middle school, as I should say. All of these people in our audience are sitting 6th and 7th grade parents, yes? Great. So we've had a long week, so if I sound a little tired, I apologize. I feel like I've slept here since Tuesday, because we were here Tuesday night for a presentation, last night for interviews, and we're back again tonight. So, and I did stay up late. I see a Flyers fan, yay! Stayed up to watch that game, and I don't usually stay up that late. It was amazing. So if you're not a Flyers fan, I'm sorry. Thanks for being here tonight. My name is Amy. I am the middle school principal. I am proud to be here this evening. I am joined by the 2 assistant principals, Mrs. Brady, who's in the back. And for those of you that don't know, Mr. Hammond is our new assistant principal who will be official next year. So he is a current special education teacher on the 8th grade team, and we recruited him and stole him and scooped him up for our AP job, which is great. Mrs. Doherty, I did see her, she's also here, who is our current 7th grade counselor, moving to 8th grade. As you know, our school counselors do rotate, which is great. Mrs. Biasi will be moving from 8th down to 6th, and we have,
Mrs. Sales,
thank you, who's out on maternity leave, and we're hoping she's back. So that's how our counselors rotate. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about so many changes happening at the middle school. Many changes. All good stuff, I will tell you, a lot of good stuff. But a lot of construction as well, as you well know. So the first slide that we're going to show is a little bit of a clip of a video, and we skipped through some of the parts that you already all know, and we kind of went to all the highlights of the new things that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight.
The go-to spot for general help. Need to drop off a note, check in late, or talk to a principal? This is where it all happens. The friendly staff here are always ready to help.
That's the new main office.
Not feeling well or need to take your medication? Head over to the nurse's office located just down the hall from the main office. Our school nurse.
Centurion, school psychologist. If you ever need, we're excited to give you a behind-the-scenes sneak peek of our brand new auditorium being built right now. It might not look finished yet, but this is the stage, and this is where the new seating will be. This is the wing that will lead to the auditorium, and to my right here, this is where the new field will be. This is the brand new kitchen space, and to the right will be the brand new cafeteria space. Coming soon! Next up is another important new space, the clinical suite. This is where our school counselor, social worker, and school psychologist will be located. If you ever need someone to talk to, help in school, or just a quiet place to reset, this will be a safe, welcoming space. Even though it's still being built, it's going to be an awesome resource for students. Right down here will be the 3 counselors' office, and in there will be the school psychologist. And over there is a sensory room, which would be a great space.
All right, so sorry, we skipped a few things, but basically what they were showing you is the brand new main office, which you haven't been in, is absolutely stunning. That new foyer, which is also beautiful, and then they were showing you the new clinical suite, which is almost finished, which is where all of our counselors will be held, as well as the auditorium and new kitchen and new cafeteria coming. So the goal for all of the construction, by the way, is in August, so that we'll be ready. There's only a few bathroom things that we have to complete, but all the large spaces and everything else should be ready to go. So this is just a little bit about who we are, which a lot of you already know. About 600 students, 3 administrators, as I mentioned, 3 counselors, approximately 50 teachers, a nurse, a social worker, school psychologist, behavior analyst, and a few other new people next year you're going to hear about as we roll on to our next slide. Is that it? Okay. Sorry, just a little bit about, I'm not gonna read to you, but a little bit about what we believe in. And the things I think I wanna highlight here and what is most important to us are the relationships we have with our students, or at least the ones we are working really hard to build and the ones we want them to build with one another. A lot of the work that we need to do is built upon that level of trust and social emotional learning. It is by far my favorite age group to work with in all of the years that I've been, and it's year 31 for me and 4 districts, and 6, 7, 8 is definitely where it's at, because it is crazy fun, crazy turbulent. You are living it at home, living it, riding waves all the time. Know the feeling, have 2 kids, 21 and 23, boys, and it's a journey, so it's great, but it's truly the place where we get to explore and learn alongside with them. Every single day something new and crazy and wild happens, and it's so fun to be a part of. So thank you for what you do at home and trusting them with us, and hopefully we return them all back to you. I said that to the 6th grade today. I'm like, my number 1 job is to return you back the way that you came when you walked in the door. In one piece, please. The other piece of this is a great time for exploration and getting our kids to really explore it all. Whether it's a sport, an activity, a hobby, an academic passion, what am I doing, where am I going, and trying it all out. And hopefully by the time 8th grade rolls and we launch them into the high school, we narrow that path a little bit and that focus and that passion so that they're ready for high school when things start to truly matter, as I say, because you're in the world of high school transcript. Last year when I first started in the middle school, I worked very, very hard with our staff, who, by the way, I feel is extraordinary. And we really sat and developed goals and values that we felt very strongly about and ones we really wanted for our kids by the time they left here. And here they are up here, but I think these truly embrace, besides the relationship aspect, they truly embrace what we want for our kids. And besides the academic growth and the learning, how are we teaching them how to be resilient and gritty people so that they really can survive out there in the world? Because there is life beyond school, and we as parents aren't going to be able to be with them all the time. So what can we do to foster independence, get them to grow up a little bit and to be a little resilient and to have the power of communication and speak up for themselves and navigate the world?
Okay, so our big changes that you're going to see and hear, you're going to hear some terminology that's different, and a little bit about the structure of the day that is different, and the structure of how our teachers are going to work. The big impact really on your students is going to be the minutes in the classes. All right, we've been listening for the last few years. We've been talking and hearing really a lot of feedback about the 80-minute classes and why that's difficult for some students. And difficulties, if you've been here, have other students that have come through, we used to have a 6-day cycle. We used to have, and so it's a numbers day, like a 1 through 6 day. We used to have an A and a B day. It was really, really hard for an adult to manage, and really hard for 11 and 12-year-olds to manage as well. So what our first thought was, like, we wanted to listen to the kids. How can we simplify this for them? How can we help them create an environment where they can be the best possible learner, and how can we make really our staff, like our phenomenal staff, even more efficient and wrap our kids as tight as we can to help support them. And that's kind of where we started with our approach of what changes we should make and why. So we really wanted science and social studies every day. We think that's really, really, really important for our students. We want to make sure that we're reaching all the standards, and we really want to create those interdepartmental partnerships amongst our 4 core team members: science, social studies, ELA, and math. And so what that looks like is they'll have all 4 cores in their day. Those are going to be 67-minute classes. I know, 6, 7, it's going to haunt us. I didn't know. It happened this way, and I'm embracing it, and we're just going to roll with it because this is how this worked out for us. And I think it's very middle school, right? We have to embrace the trends. No, but we'll have 1 specials block a day, so we have a restructuring of specials, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And we also have our WIN, that end of the day period that we have now. We heard a lot from students, it's that to how can we make that time more impactful for our students and more impactful for our teachers. We have many teachers who address the entire building, So by staggering our win period throughout the day, will allow our specialty teachers who service many different grade levels to be able to have a higher impact and higher visibility and be able to touch those kids more often than having that period all at the same time. So we've partnered WIN with lunch. They either have it before lunch or after lunch. This is very similar to the high school model that they'll go to, which is lunch and learn, but very, very, very highly structured here at the middle level. And of course, the super exciting extracurriculars that you all know about. I forgot I don't have to click. So I tried to isolate the 7th and 8th grade schedule. I didn't do a comparison because that was just too many boxes on the screen for me. So the main thing that you have to realize that's going to be different is, right, the minutes of the day. We have 80 now, and specials were 44 minutes. So we had 2 specials a day, okay? 40 minutes, excuse me. 40 minutes, 2 specials a day, and 80 minutes classes. So this will be the new structure. So you'll see that there's 1 core. So you're going to start the day right off in your core. Your homeroom teacher is your first period teacher. We want to be efficient in those minutes, right? So instead of meeting this for 5 minutes for homeroom and then having another 3-minute transition, how can we best use those minutes of the day and get them back into instruction? So we decided to start off, every single solitary student will have a core block, science, socials, math, or ELA, as their first block of the day. They'll have that 67-minute special. I'll get more into details of the specials a little bit later. And then we have that WIN and lunch. So that's what that structure looks like. We tried to think about what was developmentally appropriate and where these things fell throughout the day, so that our 6th graders weren't sitting through the most toughest day and then having their specials at the end. How can we put a more rigorous schedule in the front of 8th graders? We really thought it from that lens to be as smart as we could with the minutes that we have for the students that that's developmentally appropriate for that age range. So we have teams. So our goal, going back to that idea of how can we wrap our kids tighter, how can we move into teams? So what you'll receive over the summer is a letter if your student's going to be on Team Navy or Team Steel. And the great part about that is it'll be about around 200 kids per grade, right? So 100 kids on a team. And those 4 teachers only teach those 100 students. We don't do that now. When our team meets together, we meet as a team of 10. And we're all talking about students as a whole. And that becomes a lot more people serving a lot of different kids. So how can we make them more efficient, those meetings tighter, being able to dive deeper into data with kids that you actually teach in front of you? And so that was our goal. That way these kids will, these teachers will be able to have a lot more interdisciplinary connections. We'll be able to partner together and be able to support students more deeply and build even stronger relationships than they already do. As you can see, there's 2 teams, and we also have a supports team. So we have 2 special ed teachers per grade level. We also have a school counselor that moves with that team. And then in addition, we have added an interventionist. This isn't a special ed teacher. This is a teacher who's going to look at students who might be struggling a little bit. They might have a gap in instruction, and then how can we fit that into their schedule to build them back up, and provide that support to help them be successful in their core instruction. And this is the 8th grade team. Same structure. Because Mr. Hammond is now going to be our assistant principal. We have a new hire that will be for the special ed team in 8th grade.
I just wanted to make mention, we had, to correct one error on the slide before, it's Mr. Trunk, not Ms., sorry. But this is, again, as Mrs. Brady mentioned, our 8th grade, just a snapshot so you can see who's on the 8th grade team and who's in those support positions as well. I also want to make mention that there are 2 groups of people not listed on the slide, and that is that we have 2 special education teachers that currently run our low incidence program, and that's Ms. Sheehan and Mr. Vogler. And if you haven't seen and you will at some point, our new apartment and new classroom up there, it's phenomenal. They run our Spartan Coffee Club and cart, it's amazing. And we also have a full-time emotional support teacher, that's Ms. Barnett. And she also services students 6 through 8, as well. Mike and Mandy do the same. And then we mentioned Professor Brugger earlier, who will also be that gifted support teacher, covering students in grades 6 through 8. So some of our teachers, as you can see, will cross-grade, and these support teams will be specifically just at the 8th grade level. So lots of wrapped support. I love that word Mrs. Brady used, because we're really trying to, with a lot of intent, make sure that we're really truly capitalizing on those 100 kids, socially, emotionally, and academically. Oh, listening. So for this slide, we're talking about how are we meeting the needs of all learners. Sorry, there's a lot of language on this slide, but the essence of the slide is truly that we are working under what's called an MTSS model, which really just stands for a multi-tiered system of support. And that's a large word for a big umbrella that we all work underneath to support students, which really means meeting kids where they are, no matter where that is, and getting them to grow. So if your child needs intervention, they're going to get intervention. If they need enrichment, no matter what course they're in, they're going to get that enrichment and move them at the pace that they need to be moved, no matter who you are or where you are located. This can happen in core instruction. This can happen at WIN. This can happen in a variety of areas, but our job is basically that job of the MTSS support model, finding out who is where and how we're going to grow each and individual student. We also, on this side, I want to make mention of the fact that counselors will also pull students for some of that tiered support in a counseling aspect, whether it's in a group or individual model. And then one of the things that I think we do as administrators that we really love to do is we hold town hall meetings with kids. I'll give you an example. If your sixth grader came home today, anybody know about the sixth grader come home and say they met with admin? I hope they did, they probably didn't. So we had a town hall this morning with all sixth grade students. They sat up there in those bleachers and we talked about recent behavior because we had a little bit of a problem leaving for a fire drill the other day. So it's just a great time for us to pull kids together to talk about expectations from an administrative perspective, what we want when they're going on a class trip, what we're looking for, how to also do something positive when we see something great and pull them together and recognize their classmates. So we try ourselves to get in front of them as often as we possibly can to address whatever we need to and to also celebrate whatever we need to.
Okay, so I'm back. So I want to talk about those changes. And specifically, I want to talk about specials. So what you're looking at is the offerings that we have for 7th grade for specials and the offerings that we're going to have for 8th grade specials for next year. So what you'll notice, and there's humanities, there's civics, there's project history, things that you've heard about before. They didn't poof and disappear, right? We added instructional minutes in social studies, right? They were doing 80 minutes every other day. Now they're going to have 67 minutes. So those specials that used to happen that were very social studies based are now going to be embedded into the curriculum of our social studies classes. All right, and that kind of was exciting because that kind of gave us some chances to think about what's best for our kids, right? What could we do during this new open specials time that would allow us to really support our kids in the best way we know how? And this is actually going to be a 3-year process. So we started with picking one course kind of to, like, I'm not going to say replace, but to fill that hole, right? As those humanity courses are now going to be built into social studies. And then we had an additional space because of how we're restructuring. So how we're restructuring specials is that there's going to be 2 specials per marking period, and a day 1 and a day 2. All right, so this is great. So our students are going to be able to see all 4 core teachers, and then they'll have one special, all 4 core teachers the next day, and then have a different special. And that's going to change at the marking period. So those specials are going to change at the marking period. So that gives, I like to call it, like, I don't want to use credits, because we're not a high school, so we don't have credits, so I had to make up a new term. Fun, right? So we call it units. So you have 8 units, okay, as a 7th, 8th, or 6th grader. You have 8 units to fill in your day, and these are your options. So you're gonna see some normal ones that you've always heard of: art, STEM, music, health. Great, super, super, super exciting. So the 2 new specials that we've built in for everyone as a little bit of some choice is the Success Lab. And if you go in, I'm going to really, really encourage you to push you to look into that curriculum guide. It's going to have a lot more details that I'm going to be able to explain right now. But really what that Success Lab is how to help support students in organization, in executive functioning, and how they can organize themselves, time management. I'm sure that's not a problem for any of you. I'm sure they bring everything home in a folder and give it to you, and it's not crumpled and it's never lost, but these are some things that we want to help support them with because we want them to be successful, and that's kind of like the root and the idea of the name Success Lab. How can we really help build strong skills and foundations? And the hope is that they're really going to be using that time in that class to take, hey, what does your week look like? What practices do you have? How are you going to organize and manage your time to make sure that you're going to be able to be successful and get everything you need to be done? So that's the kind of the idea of the Success Lab. The other thing is we're going to do life online, and that's going to encompass a couple of things. It's going to support students in how to properly use the technology that we've given them, if that's using Schoology, how to write an email. I don't know if you've seen middle schoolers write an email. They would like to think they are going to tell you everything in the subject line. It's like, Mrs. Brady, I need help now, you know, and there's nothing in the body, it's all in the subject. So we're just going to help. We're just going to support some, I would call it like letter writing, right? We're going to support, hey, how do you write an email to your teacher? How do you advocate for yourself in that digital space that you're trying to figure out on your own? So there's going to be elements like that are very practical, but also some safety pieces, right? We all know that, I know the battle that I'm a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, so I'm not there yet, but I know I'm not ready for the battle that you guys are facing with phones and social media and all of that. And we're going to build the best practices of how to be safe online. What's a digital footprint? What you put online matters. That doesn't go away. We really want to bring that back because it's such a big topic and something that our students are dealing with on a daily basis. And that's one of our new specials that we're going to have. In the future, these are going to be, I'm going to call them 6th grade specials. And so each year, it's going to be available for everyone next year, but each year we're going to build 2 new specials that best fit for these grade levels. Looking for feedback from kids, what are we most interested in, and how can we grow, I would say, our specials programming to best support our students. So if you have a 6th grader, right? If you have a 6th grader, they're going to have some new options when they become an 8th grader. So there'll be new specials that'll come out next year. You're going to hear me talk about them again. And I'm going to tell you to go to the curriculum guide, and I'm going to tell you to read all about them. And I'm sorry, I know this is a little lengthy, but it's a little bit complicated. So the last piece is ensembles. Ensembles will still be built into the school day. They're going to be built into specials, and so the students are going to have to make some choices. How do you want to fill these 8 blocks of your time? And I think that's exciting. A lot of people are ready for that. A lot of students are ready for that. This is 6th grade, we can give them a little bit of everything. 7th grade and 8th grade, how can we build upon those choices? So next week, I'm going to be meeting with the 6th grade, I'm going to be meeting with the 7th grade, I'm going to give them a specials preference form. A lot of you already got a preview of that online. They're going to have to complete that, hand that into their homeroom teacher to be able to tell me what are they most interested in. It's very similar, it's actually a really nice practice for high school, because they're going to have to do that at a more complicated level when they leave here in 8th grade. So, tough to see, but as you can see, this is kind of, if you're a visual person, I'm a visual person. Each marking period, right, you have 2 specials. So I put in a 7th grade example of someone who's doing band, and I did an 8th grade example that might be a little bit more specialized with chorus. So you, if you're doing band, that's an all year, you get to pick your 4 specials. If you're doing chorus, you can see that you have marking period 2 and marking period 3. And you have some additional specials. This gets a little bit more complicated. I'm gonna take any questions that you do have about ensembles a little bit at the end. And I can explain a little bit more. So what you'll see when you come home is this specials preference sheet. And this is what you guys, I hope I previewed it for you so that you know that next week when they come home, you're gonna where's your specials form? And then you can have that conversation over dinner. That way you're prepped and ready. I didn't want to throw it on you, you didn't know it was coming. So you guys can look at this. You already had it emailed to you. You can look at the curriculum guide. I'm going to explain this to the students. They're going to bring home that paper. You get to sign off on what they're choosing, and that's going to be delivered back to us next week so that we can start to build our scheduling.
Hi, I'm Ian Hammond. I'm not just the guy with the laser pointer, I'm also going to be the athletic director next year. But moving being from a teacher to being an athletic director, that's probably the space I'm most confident with. I've coached 7 seasons here at Springfield, but I'm not going to go over all of these. But my biggest thing is, especially with a 7th grader, is they can finally do sports. That is the year the 7th and 8th grade is recognized PWA for sports. I love that because a lot of our teachers in the building also coach sports. That's where I got to learn the most about my students in my near decade teaching is after school. They got to learn about me in a space that I really enjoy. That's not just sports alone, that's also our performing arts and clubs. That's a lot of passions that our staff have, specifically the drama, which you guys got to see a little bit of, but like that new auditorium they're gonna be coming into is gonna be a beautiful and fantastic space for that to happen. Trying to think about glass or anything, like since like Ultimate Frisbee is still open for 7th and 8th graders, but like that's like the one sport that 6th graders participate in. In terms of rotation for the arts and clubs, that's going to still be live in the s'more for the ones that have more like, hey, it's not a season, it's just a couple weeks. The biggest thing I want to point out, if you're new to us, is this. The late bus is an amazing resource that Springfield Township offers our students. It eliminates any barrier of getting home if you want to do something after school. I think that is beautiful. I think it's amazing. It comes in 2 waves. The one thing is, if it's a short club like Homework Club, you're getting the bus at 3:45. If you're doing most sports, run until 4:30, unless it's like, oh, there's rain, you're in the fitness center for an hour, and then you go home. They just have to sign up. And the only difference with the late bus is like they're just dropped off in an area. It's not their general bus stop. It's usually like a couple stops. Like there's a couple stops for there's a designated Orland bus, Winmore bus, Flowertown, and it's like usually no more than a block or 2 from their home. But I just want to point that out because I think that's something that's overlooked. Like, oh, I can't come try wrestling this year because I don't have a ride home. That's not an excuse. And like that's definitely a space too. Is like. We have a lot of sports, like, I'm biased, I've coached wrestling here and I've done it for all my life, but like, it's awesome for like, we don't have a youth program in Springfield, but like, have your 7th grader come out for wrestling. And there's even like talking more in Montgomery County, growing like girls wrestling too. So like a lot of our other teams, not a designated girls team, but like, we're getting the direction for like, hey, come out for wrestling, you're only gonna wrestle other girls. So I think that's great, it's a growing sport in the country, it's something we offer here too. And then that wraps it up, but I just want to make sure that I point out those things and get your kids involved. If they want to try something new, please, please, please. Like our teams, lacrosse too, our bench is kind of small and it helps out. Have them come out and try it. Registration is open at the end of the month for the fall. And my last thing about that is all of our communication, I'll get used to this, I'm sorry, thank you for Sports U is how all communication is going to exist for after-school activities. It should be like extracurricular U, but it's an app that once the team is created, you scan a QR code and all of the like communications will be run through that, whether the coach is a district employee or a teacher here or not, or the club sponsor, all of that communication is written there because that helps me of like all chats, all things. I can go back and pull up if like something I need to be aware of or something like I need to make sure my coach is communicating to the team or like their team's parents. But Sports U, you'll be able to see QR codes beginning of next year. It's a pretty cool app. Like school learned it the other day, but just be on the lookout for that as well. Thank you.
And the one piece of feedback, if you're a 6th grade parent and you've never experienced sports here before, the most important thing to know is that there's we're gonna ask for a PIAA physical, okay? And that's not your regular, your regular physical that you have once a year. It is a specific form that is needed sanctioned by the PIAA that we need, and it's most important that you're cleared to play. And the second most important thing, it has a very specific date. It has to be dated after May 1st of that previous school year. So if you want to play a sport next school year, you can get a physical done after May 1st. And as long as it's dated after May 1st, that's great, and that is the physical you need for that one calendar year. That's the toughest thing that we come across is that, you just had your physical in January, and then you want to try to use that physical paperwork to play in the fall. I can't accept it. So that's just one thing to think about. I know that that's a cycle, and that's something that's tough. But once we get on that good routine of when to get that PIAA physical in, you'll get on that routine, and we use the same exact system that the high school uses. So we get to introduce you to all of that, and it's the same exact system that moves in when you go to the high school.
The one piece I want to add about the physical is you don't have to have all the sports figured out. It's just one click to use it as a recertification. So say like, oh, I checked the box for track, but I really want to do lacrosse. It's just going back into the system in 2 clicks. Very easy.
Okay, I think it's also important to know what do you do as a parent and what does your child do if you have questions and you need help. And I have to really say that the first place absolutely to start is with your classroom teacher. Classroom teacher comes first. Start with them, shoot an email, have your kid also, hey, ask your teacher for that information. They have all the knowledge, I'm sure, and the answer. The second thing after that, your school counselor. After that, there are assistant principals. After that comes me. But there is a little bit of a hierarchy there for a reason, and I think it's because, number one, I do feel, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, probably the most important and most powerful position in this school, besides our kids, are our teachers. And that is really important to note because they truly are like the number one ingredient behind the success of a child, so use them. They know what they're doing, they're in the trenches every day. They know what's happening, they're there. Use them as a great resource, they will be able to answer your questions, and if you really want to start increasing that level of independence, teach your kids. Go ask the question yourself. Push them to do that, and that's a really great skill. So the other piece about this that you all are already involved in is the use of PowerSchool for you as parents and Schoology for your kids. Well, you would want to, it's a very good question. What you would do is if you have a question about a specific class, you would go to that class teacher. There really isn't a lot of questions that our homeroom teachers answer. We don't spend a lot of time in homeroom. And what they're doing is you will probably get a lot more communication as a team. So this is what our team is going to do if it's something that covers everyone. But I would say if it's class or subject specific, start with that specific classroom teacher, and anything that's team-based or trip-related would probably come out from the Navy or STEEL team together. So again, Schoology, PowerSchool, all information and resources you're familiar with. We communicate weekly. I do think we are really good about getting back to people, so if you are emailing any one of us, we try within 24 hours to get back to you. All right, next steps is Mrs. Brady.
Okay, so the special preference form that I sped through earlier that you're going to have questions about later, that's going to be due May 12th. All right, that's a hard copy piece of paper that's going to be handed into the homeroom teacher. Don't worry, I will come find you if you did not fill it out because I want the right information. I want to know what the preferences are so that I can make the best possible schedule for your student. This second thing, in July, you'll get those math placement letters where your student is. If they currently are in Math 6-7, would they be going on to Algebra 1? If they're in, whatever course or whatever the next acceleration or on grade level or different math class that could possibly be, those letters will go out in July. If you're interested in what that process looks like, if you're new, if you're not sure what it looks like, I highly suggest, again, going into the curriculum guide. It outlines every grade level, what the offerings are, and how I do that math placement process. We're going to try to do some tours over the summer. If you are new, right now there's going to be a lot of construction that's going to be finishing up over the summer, which is phenomenal. We cannot wait to get everyone in here into these new spaces. And if there is an opportunity, and if you're new and you haven't seen the building yet, we're going to hopefully provide some opportunities for people to tour in August. Student schedules will be released August 10th, or 10th or 12th, but in that early time in August that you guys can review it. You can reach out if there's any questions, if there's any concerns that you have. That way we have schedules ready to go, all tightened up for that first day of school. Back to school night, again, early September. We're going to do that, also the supply kits through secondary HSP so that we can get those all done over the summer. And then again, my other plug for the curriculum guide, to review any of that if you have questions or you want to learn a little bit more about each different grade levels type of curriculum.
If you didn't notice on the way in, we're still under construction. So like, the space you came into will be completely different when your student arrives here next year. Like if you go in that back wall between these brand new bathrooms and the cafeteria will be completely removed and open to this, like into the hallway that transitions to the brand new auditorium. The same way that it will go down towards the like extension of the cafeteria. But I got to go on a walk with the superintendent advisory council the other day. And the amount of work that they can do in a short period of time is amazing. That auditorium is huge. Like I said earlier, planned out with a lot of mind of how it's used for our arts and performing arts. And in addition to that, what used to be the main office, that clinical suite is going to be done for all of the counselors, our related service, and our nurse is going to stay in the same spot, but in our school psychologist is also getting an office over there too. The other thing now is with like the construction, like the baseball field, the original baseball field, is still won't be done next year, correct? Like that just like displaces a little bit of athletics, but there's a lot of spaces that are opening up, which we're really, really excited about. I know the kids kind of like removed from, but we're really excited. It's come together a lot. What else am I, like behind this wall, if you guys have not like seen, like this is a brand new fitness center where the stage used to be. There will be a brand new hallway that extends down there because the other side of the fitness center is a brand new health classroom. The fitness center, I wish like maybe that tour would be great, like to go peek inside of that. Brand new equipment, brand new like Spark decals, everything's really well done. The rest of the 3 floors, those bathrooms will be completed as well. And then the one last thing I want to talk about was, this is the last time you guys have to sit in these chairs for these meetings. Which is amazing, because the back to school night will be in the brand new auditorium the first day of school. Or like, it will be done the first day of school. So back to school night will be done in the brand new auditorium, which we're really, really excited about. Resources. The first line of defense is always ask the classroom teacher. What I was thinking of too is like, I think it was over here, right, is a great point about the point of contact. I think their first period teachers where like those permission slips are gonna go. I just want to plug that in. But then you have a ton of support services with our school counselors, our interventionist and social worker, as well as our administrative team. The other things we look at, the weekly bulletin will remain the same, as well as the curriculum guide, which is updated, posted, live. Always check like updates on the school district website, as well as PowerSchool and their student Schoology. We're in a 1.5 or 2 years of Schoology. Please, please, please have your student utilize the to-do list and the calendar in Schoology. Still is my role as a special education teacher currently, like I've had a lot of success pointing my kids in that direction of utilizing that. If they don't know that exists, it's on the right-hand screen, right-hand side of their screen in Schoology. It prioritizes what their missing assignments are and brings them to the top. So if they say, I don't have anything to do, have them show you your Schoology page. They can't hide it. It's in orange. It looks like a stop sign. It looks like, ironically, a construction stop sign. Please, and then there's a calendar feature, again, like to look at longer term projects. And then activities, again, updates in the SMORE. And then you'll get some more, I'm sure I'll get like a little sports updates and postings in the update as well for anything that's open for coaching roles. Hopefully we don't have any at the start of the year, but I think it's good. Great. I think we're on to questions.
Just take a read on, I'm a big quote person. Try to start off our day every morning. Our news crew does a quote of the day usually. I started it, the kids picked it up, they do it all, it's great. But just take a read at this and it sort of again summarizes, I think, who we are, what we're really trying to do, and our goal, and what we value most when we're with your kids. I hope that you took a bunch of things away tonight. we have a lot of information that we did share. I'm going to assume there's going to be some good questions from Mrs. Brady about our new schedule in terms of specials, because it does get a little confusing. Believe it or not, we're going to be less confusing than we've been, because when I first arrived, I still am confused by A, B, 1, 2. It's too much. It was too much. So we really tried to synthesize what we're doing for kids and how we're doing it. Again, being thoughtful and mindful and open them up and expose them, as I said, to as much as we can. Find their passion, find their strength, use it, and get them launched for high school when stuff really digs in. So with that, we're going to open it up. I thank you for your attention and listening. And it is very echoey in here, so I apologize. And as Ian said, hopefully this is the last one in here. We'll be in a brand new, beautiful auditorium. We are super excited for that. So at this time, we're going to open it up for questions. If you don't have any and you want to leave, please feel free. But please stay. If there are questions, we're happy to entertain questions.